ways, we humans have made spectacular advancements. In other ways, we haven't evolved at all. I guess I have always been discriminated against. I was born to a Jewish mother, so I was a Jew. Then I grew into a cute little boy, but I was still a Jew. You know, the little Jew boy from down the street. What did we Jew boys do so differently from all the other boys? I could never figure that one out. I played sports. I got A's in school. And I did all the things the boys thought they were supposed to do. But I was still the Jew. I was confused. How did they know that I was a Jew? Was it my face? Was it my circumcision? Was it the way I smelled? I mean, I really did love gefilte fish. But whatever it was, they just seemed to know and care. As I grew from being a boy into being a man, I developed ways of not dealing with sexists and racists and other judgmental fools, because there really isn't any way to reason with such small-minded beings. So I lived a life that emphasized minimizing such unpleasant contacts, which is why it was shocking to find myself living next to that which I had so carefully avoided. They lived in a sterile house in a phony suburb, awaiting the return of the 50s that they never knew. His head was shaved and his brain was washed, and he worked doing laundry for the big leaguers, whom he boasted were his good friends, who agreed with him and backed him up. His lying wife was a perfect match. They were both driven by fear and hate.
Can I help you with something? Crazy man?
Their lives were perfectly white, and they wanted nothing to disturb their world. They had maintained the sanctity of their castle at the expense of 5 neighbors in 3 years. They obviously had help in high places. At first things were bearable, not perfect by any means. He was proud to be racist and sexist. And as long as he thought that I was a passive white man old enough to be his father, everything seemed to be fine. Such deception, however, couldn't last forever. Maybe it was the gefilte fish on my breath, but it probably was his skinhead friend who found out that I was Jewish, thanks to my friend's big mouth. That's when he made it clear that he was going to get my Jew ass out of here. He had his gardener chop my favorite flowering hummingbird plant in half, his announcement of war. He reported us to everyone, including his mom, I'm sure. Bi-weekly calls to the police and daily calls to the HOA. Had our water cut off. He put dog feces under our car door handle. Constant verbal threats accompanied by spitting. Arbitrators, lawyers, exterminators, and surveyors. Spraying us with water, egging the inside of my truck, and much, much more. He bragged that he was going to put my face to the mat. Yes, he was the neighbor from hell. I started hitting the heavy bag every night. The thought of fighting a racist bully half my age kept me somewhat sane. All the racism that I repressed from my Jew boy past began seeping into my thoughts and dreams. Stupid kids, brainwashed by stupid parents, brainwashed by the stupidity of the times. Now, 60 years after the Holocaust, these miscreations of years of intolerance are attacking me and my origins again. Those of you who think it's over, wake up. White supremacy has a stronghold in middle-class suburbia. Harassment, denial of rights, and group intimidation continue to be their weapons of choice. They successfully use the police and the HOA to make our lives a living hell, and we had nowhere to go for help.
I'll sick Tiziana because, man, she makes the smelliest farts in town.
Then they received permission from the HOA Nazis to shine a halogen light into my bedroom window. And when I was awoken by that blinding light, I finally snapped. I had to either leave or kill my attacker. Yeah, we gotta leave. We can't, this guy's beyond.
This guy lives for fighting.
I decided to take the high road and leave and make a film about all the injustices that we and others had experienced in that phony little suburb, on those phony little lakes, on what was once a beautiful desert. But even then it didn't end. Our film was stopped and our tape was confiscated by the local police. I was prosecuted and convicted.
And the court is entering a finding of guilty.
And I was never allowed to show the evidence proving that I was telling the truth and that my First Amendment rights had been violated. If you actually view the tapes there, you'll see that there's close to 20 minutes of video of that community, and there's actually 1 second,
Can I help you with
literally
something?
1 second
Hey,
more. Was it because he was a big league jockstrap cleaner with big league connections? Well, at least that's what he claimed. Or was I stopped because the HOA didn't want this film made? Or even worse, was it because some influential people shared his beliefs? He claimed that too. A famous baseball player did email us confirming that he and our neighbor were very good friends, and that they did tell off-color stories and jokes in the locker room. To me and others, hate is not a punchline. And then there was a community manager who offered to engage in illegal activities for them and against us. Luckily, they gave us a copy of the letter. Whoever or whatever it was, they so empowered this neighbor, who to me is just a kid, that he finally openly referred to me as a JEWBOY. That's when I realized with no small amount of revulsion that no matter how many years I live, and no matter how much I accomplish, learn, share, or experience.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, introducing the 2006 Liberty High School Hall of Fame inductees. Joel Laskin, class of 1964. At Oberlin College, Joel earned 4 letters in football, 2 letters in golf, and 2 letters in lacrosse. In 1965, he was chosen All-Ohio Conference middle linebacker and led the conference in interceptions. He also tied the conference record for most interceptions in one game, and though he only played lacrosse for 2 years, his senior year he was a unanimous All-Midwest selection. He was chosen as a member of the 1968 All-American team.
That to some small-minded people, I'll always be just a JEWBOY. Hold on, stop the credits. First, the local police in Lakewood illegally confiscated my tape while I was filming the community. And then I wasn't allowed to show my tape in court to exonerate myself. So I'll be darned if I'm going to finish this movie without showing my tape. In fact, what I'm going to do is I'm going to show my tape alongside of what was said in court. And then you can decide who's telling the truth.
Walking from the entrance to the park to my home is when the videotaping started. I could hear a car driving behind me. This is at the very end of our street, 7 to 8 houses away from mine, approximately. The videotaping started from when I came out of the park. He started to drive behind me and drove behind me until halfway down the street, and then came up right next to me and stayed next to me until 2 or 3 houses down before I had to cross to enter my home.
It sounds like she not only claimed you started filming her since she came out of the park, but that you followed behind her halfway down the street, then next to her for 2 to 3 more houses. But that's not what I saw on the videotape, so let's hear her again.
The videotaping started from when I came out of the park. He started to drive behind me and drove behind me until halfway down the street, and then came up right next to me and stayed next to me until 2 or 3 houses down.
It seems that things have not been getting better in our old neighborhood. The Arizona Republic had an article on September 16, 2006, stating that vandals caused $30,000 in damage to an Ahwatukee apartment that's located on Lakewood Parkway, only about 3 blocks away from where we live. And even though the vandals spray-painted swastikas all over the destroyed property, the Ahwatukee police did not consider it a hate crime.
It was late February 2005, and Joel and I decided to go to dinner that night. And as I was waiting in my car for him, Joel came through the gate, and all of a sudden, from out of nowhere, Joel's neighbor comes out and screams, "I got a Jew lawyer to get your Jew ass out of here. What do you think of that?"
Those of you who think it's over, wake up.